It's a freezing night 40,000 years ago, and the fire beside you is dying down to embers. You are a kid named Nock, and right now, you are unbelievably, painfully, achingly bored out of your mind. No screen, no toys, no Wi-Fi, just dark cold, and a whole night with absolutely nothing to do. That's the assumption almost everyone makes about people like Nock. No fun, just survival, every single day. But if his ancestors never figured out how to have fun together, you might not exist right now. Because one toy his people carved 14,000 years ago does something that will genuinely blow your mind. By the end of this, you'll never think about boredom or your own need for fun the same way again. This is Nock and his wolf pup Ash, and tonight they're about to remind you what fun actually is. Here's the wild part. Even Ice Age kids had actual toys, and archaeologists almost missed them completely. In 2018, archaeologist Michelle Langley studied tiny, clumsy spear points from Ice Age France and Germany. These points were badly made, clumsily repaired, and sized for small hands, not for real hunting at all. Langley's conclusion: these weren't failed weapons, they were practice toys, made by children learning to hunt through play. One carved lion, cut from reindeer antler, is polished smooth, worn down from being held and rubbed for years. That kind of wear doesn't happen from ritual use. It happens from a kid clutching a favorite toy for years. Then, a smooth stone lion, hugged every night by firelight. Now, a stuffed animal, hugged every night under the blankets. And here's the detail that should genuinely surprise you. This instinct to make toys goes back over 20,000 years. Thousands of years later, in ancient Israel, archaeologist Christine Garraway found tiny fingerprints pressed into unfired clay toys. Those prints were far too small for adult hands, proof that children were literally shaping their own playthings themselves. Children weren't just tolerated around the fire. They were quietly training for the exact skills that kept everyone alive. And the adults let them play, because play, it turns out, was never actually separate from survival at all. But toys weren't just for practice. Some were built purely, deliberately, to mess with your eyes. This flat bone disc, found in a cave in southern France, has a deer carved into one side. Flip it over, and there's the same deer again, but this time its legs are positioned completely differently. In 2012, researchers Mark Azema and Florent Revere figured out exactly what this strange object was built to do. Thread a cord through the hole, twist it tight, then pull, and the disc spins violently, both sides blurring. And when it spins, the two deer merge into a single animal. And that animal looks like it's actually running. This bone disc is, right now, the oldest known example of animation on the entire planet. Full stop. Then, a spinning bone disc by firelight. Now, a looping video on a phone you just can't stop watching. Similar spinning discs have turned up in caves across France and Spain, not just as one lucky, isolated invention. Someone, 14,000 years ago, sat by a fire and invented the exact trick your brain still falls for. Quick pause. If you're new here, Nock and Ash have a whole channel of stories like this, so go ahead and subscribe. Rewind even further to a cave in what's now Germany, 40,000 years ago, colder than Nock's world. Someone there took the hollow wing bone of a vulture and carefully carved 5 small finger holes into it. In 2009, archaeologist Nicholas Connor of the University of Tübingen confirmed exactly what this object really was. It was a flute, and it remains the oldest confirmed musical instrument ever found anywhere on Earth. Imagine that. Before farming, before writing, before permanent houses, humans already had live music around the fire. Connor's team believes music helped these early humans bond tighter, cooperate better, and quite possibly outlast the Neanderthals. Then, a bone flute passed hand to hand by firelight. Now, a shared playlist, blasting through someone's tiny speaker. Nock's own people likely didn't have flutes yet, but they almost certainly had rhythm, humming, and clapping together. Because music this old, this widespread, wasn't some lucky accident. It was something our whole species genuinely needed. Now here's the part that surprised scientists themselves, and it happened in a laboratory earlier this very year. In 2026, researcher Robert Madden studied thousands of small carved objects from 57 sites across North America. These objects were carved from bone and wood, deliberately shaped, and marked in ways that repeated again and again. To count as a real die, Madden required each object to be shaped, balanced, marked, and clearly reused many times. Madden identified more than 500 of them that met every single scientific criteria for one very specific thing: dice. These dice are older than almost every other confirmed set of dice ever found anywhere on the planet. Madden found evidence like this scattered across dozens of different sites from one end of the continent to the other. That means people weren't just carving these objects once, they were deliberately making them again and again for generations. According to Madden, these people were building tools specifically designed to produce random, unpredictable outcomes entirely on purpose. In other words, thousands of years before anyone wrote anything down, humans already understood chance, luck, and gambling. Then, bone dice, tossed onto an animal hide by firelight. Now, plastic dice, tossed onto a coffee table on game night. For decades, historians assumed dice and gambling games began in the Old World long after complex civilizations had formed. This discovery flips that assumption completely, placing organized games of chance in North America first, not last. This single discovery quietly rewrote what scientists thought they knew about when and where games of chance began. And it's not the only game humans this old seem to enjoy. Some of it looked a lot simpler than dice. 20,000 years ago, on a muddy lakeshore in what's now southeastern Australia, a whole group left footprints behind. In 2006, researcher Matthew Cupper and his team studied these footprints, hundreds of them, preserved in ancient hardened clay. Some tracks belonged to adults sprinting hard, others to children walking slower, but clearly heading in the same direction. Cupper's team suggested this wasn't just ordinary travel. It looked like several separate events, maybe even a chase or a race. Running fast, just for the feeling of it, might genuinely be one of the oldest games humans ever invented. Then, bare feet, racing across wet clay for the sheer thrill of speed. Now, sneakers, racing across a school playground. But maybe the oldest game of all didn't need any tools, any dice, or any toys whatsoever. It just needed other people and something ridiculous enough to make an entire group lose it together all at once. In 2022, researcher Robin Dunbar and his team studied exactly why humans laugh together in the first place. Their research found shared laughter releases feel-good chemicals in the brain, the very same ones triggered by touch and closeness. And crucially, laughing together works on much bigger groups than one-on-one bonding ever really could, all at the same time. That matters because a tribe that laughs together tends to trust each other more, and trust is what kept people alive. A group that plays and laughs together fights less among themselves, cooperates more, and survives hard winters as one team. Biologist Gordon Burghardt has spent decades studying why play evolved at all, across humans and countless other species. His research shows play safely rehearses dangerous skills, hunting, fighting, escaping, all without any of the real risk involved. Even Ash tumbling and mock fighting with another pup isn't just cute, it's quietly training muscles and instincts for later. Every toy, every dice game, every burst of shared laughter was quietly doing double duty this entire time. Fun was never a reward you earned after survival. Fun was actually one of the real tools of survival itself. The tribes who knew how to have fun together were, very often, the very tribes who actually made it through. In 1966, anthropologist Marshall Solins famously argued hunter-gatherers actually had more free time than people in modern societies. But later fieldwork by researcher Richard Lee showed that once you count every task, that free time shrinks fast. But even inside all that hard work, these people still carved out real time, deliberately, for pure, honest fun. They didn't need permission, spare time, or fancy tools, just each other and the simple will to enjoy it. Here's the strange twist, though. Modern psychologist Peter Gray has spent years studying how little free play kids get today. His research links this shrinking free play directly to rising anxiety in children decade after decade worldwide, which means in some strange way, kids 40,000 years ago may have had freer, fuller play than kids today. Fun, it turns out, isn't something modern life invented. It's something modern life has slowly been taking away. So next time you're bored, remember, someone 40,000 years ago solved that exact same feeling with a bone and a fire. Then, a spinning disc, a bone flute, dice tossed by firelight. Now, your phone, your playlist, your board game night. Different tools, same exact need. To laugh, to play, and to feel connected to the people around you. Same human, different world. So tell me, what's the oldest toy or game you still remember loving as a kid? Drop it in the comments below. And next time, we're asking something even bigger. What did ancient humans actually think the whole world looked like? Because the answer might be stranger and somehow more familiar than you have ever actually imagined.